this whole situation because of disaster or war or whatever happened of conflict, we need to create new ones. And then the old one and the new ones goes parallelly to work. But that would create some kind of competition, and that would create some kind of undermining the role of the original institutes, which is very dangerous in terms of the capacity building. So this is very important point. The international NGOs and the government, they have to look for while intervening after disasters or wars. The other challenge is aligning with national plans. And sometimes the international organizations come to the country with different plans and agendas. And when they look for similar standards and similar plans in the country they go in, they do not find it for whatever reasons. And then they start to work in different places without even planning. They have their own standards, they have their own visions to the intervention they are looking for, but they do not really find themselves in the point. So there is no that much aligning with the national plans. So it's very important when international comes to any country, they have to find a mutual area of intervening. And they have to dig deeper to the plans of this government, of this country, to find out what matches their plans. The last challenge is the sustainability. And this is very important point. As we always say that sustainability is not really easy to be gotten. As we said before, most of the intervention of the international NGOs are crystallized about the emergency and transitional period, but it is not easy to go to the sustainable stage. And why we need sustainable? Because when we have international NGOs coming to a country to help in different aspects, in different way, in different fields, including the humanitarian heritage and preservation, they have to know their exit strategy. They have to know when to leave. And at that point, when they decide to leave, they should know exactly that there is a sustainable entity existed to perform the work and to continue that process, not just cutting that effort at some point and leaving out. So that would take us back to the zero point. Now, after talking about these challenges in the institutional capacity, we can imagine the difficulties that the international NGOs facing while working with governments and the other academic institutions related to the heritage preservation or any kind of intervention after disasters or after conflicts area. And we know that Middle East country is a very full area of conflict, and we had witnessed some very big events and very big wars, disaster in the region, where we had difficulties in intervening and keeping at least the resilience concept working in these countries. So although there are some kind of challenges, there is also opportunities. So let's have a look on 3 of these opportunities, and there will be the last slides of my presentation. The first one is
Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed, you have another 2 to 3 minutes maximum. Thank you so much.
Okay, I will just go faster and yeah, thank you. So the balance, first one is the balance between reliance on the existing government structure and the new one. As said before, we need to make sure that the new the new created entities are not staying longer than the ones already created. And to have this done, we need to make sure that there are some kind of flexibility for the government laws and initiatives. So they don't really get that much in this period. The example of that is using the so-called the project executive units, with the aim of ensuring that the best use of the resources to accelerate reconstruction dynamic and avoid bureaucratic hurdles. So that was one of the examples that's been used in some countries, is to create units to doing construction, rehabilitation, or whatever they do. But then it goes back to the international, and it goes back to the governmental institutes to continue with that. Other thing is that matching the goals of the donors and implementing them through the local channels. When those international NGOs come with their standards and their funding channels, it has to go through local channels, which are the ones that existed and can do the intervention in the field. And that required from the government to some extent to be flexible in terms of the instructions and laws and regulations, so it matches the funding channel of other international NGOs. This trend could lead us to build more capacity building, and also to have some openness to the foreign policies, because our countries, we need to know exactly how the work outside of our country is working and how are the other experience of institutions and donors is working. Also, we need to understand the nature of this change and this trend in comparison to the reality in the field, and how close they are to heritage, culture, and historical extensions. Also supporting productive plans and planning based on the national capabilities, and reducing foreign aid in the future, and setting basic priorities. The example of that is in Ethiopia. Despite having nearly 40 donors, the country has suffered from the lack of coordinated structure in use of funds through flow channels. And because of that, the project life cycle increased by more than 3 times the planned duration due to this perturbation. So when you have so many funding channels, you cannot really do the intervention, and you end up with having
1 minute more. 1 minute more, Dr. Ahmed, please. 1 minute more.
Okay, you end up with having three times delay. The last one, and I will end by this, is that the long-term planning and sustainable change. This is very, as said, this is very hard to achieve, but it is also an opportunity with having the intervention of the local authority and also the international agencies, and adapting the change that's been used in the by this intervention in the future. By this, I thank you very much, Doctor, and over to you.